Today we're going to be going over my current prediction for the upcoming 2024 election here in November. I'm going to go over the presidential election for now. I will probably make videos on the Senate races and congressional races at a later date, but for now I'm just going to do the presidential race. I'm going to start off with the states that are solidly in the Democrat column. We'll start with Washington. Of course, you can see in 2016, Washington is a strong Democratic state. Democrats have controlled this state in many years, and it's almost a 20-point margin, so I do expect that margin to hold up into this year. We'll go to Oregon next. Oregon's also a strong Democratic state with a 10% margin in 2016 and a 16% margin in 2020. So it jumped 6% since 2016, so I do expect that to hold up. California's next. That's obviously another strong Democrat state. 61 to 33 in 2016, and then 63 to 34 in 2020. That margin will hold up very well. Hawaii, one of the more Democrat-controlled states, with over 30-point margins in both elections. Both years. So that will be solidly Democratic as well. Next state we have is Colorado. Now Colorado will also be strong in the Democrat column. As you can see in 2016, Clinton won it by 3. And in 2020, Biden won it by a very, very strong margin. Over 13 points, 13.5 to be exact. So that will be strongly in the Democrat column. New Mexico will also go to the Democrats. You can see an 8% margin in 16, and then around a 9% margin in 2020. So I do expect that 8 to 9 to 10% margin to hold up in New Mexico. Next state we're going to go over is Maine. You can see in 2016 that Clinton won Maine by around 2.5%, and then Trump lost it by around 9%. But there has been a few polls showing that Trump has gained substantial voter base in Maine, although I do not think this is possible. I just think it's going to be around the same margins, or maybe an average of the two, but definitely in between the two. So we'll go ahead and put this blue. Now, Maine's 2nd congressional district is a primarily Republican district. As you can see on the map, all of the populated areas are more near the coast, so this is more of a rural area, big on the hunting and fishing and just the overall Republican lifestyle, I guess you could call it. I don't know. But anyway, the next state we're going to go over is New Hampshire. We can see in 2016 that New Hampshire was lost by 0.4, so Clinton won it by 0.4, and then in 2020, Biden won it by around 7. So that will hold up into the Democrat column. I do not see Trump gaining any more voter base. It might be slightly closer to this. Next state we'll go over is Vermont. We can see in 2016, Vermont went for Clinton by almost 30 points and went for Biden in 2020 by 36. So this is one of the most liberal states in the country, of course, home to Bernie Sanders. So this will be safely, very, very safely, without a shadow of a doubt, in the Democrat column. Massachusetts, you can see in 2016, went for Clinton by around 26. And then in 2020 went for Biden by around 23. So those margins will hold up, and it will be a blue state. Connecticut in 2016 went for Clinton by around 13. And in 2020 it went for Biden by 20. So that margin will definitely hold up, and it will be safe Democrat. Tiny little Rhode Island over here, 2016, plus 15 for Clinton. And in 2020, almost plus 20, well over plus 20 for Biden. So that margin will definitely hold up. The state of New York, 2016, was won by Clinton by over 20 points. And in 2020, it was also won by Biden by around the same margins and a little bit more. Now, one interesting thing we can look at is the shift which areas have become more Republican and vice versa. We can see that these urban areas here in New York, the New York City metro area, has become more Republican. This is where the majority of your voter base is coming from. So this is an important thing to watch for future elections. Keep in mind it will almost never turn something, it will never turn it red, but that is a lot of votes. You can see like 8 points more Republican, and out of 800,000, that is a lot of votes. So do keep that in mind and remember that. The next state we'll go over is New Jersey, another safe Democrat state. In 2016, Clinton won it by 13, and then in 2020, Biden won it by around 16, so that margin is definitely going to hold up as well. Delaware, another safe Democrat state, and also the state that Joe Biden was senator in, so that does help his chances there. Clinton won it by around 11 to 12, and Biden won it by 20. He is quite well known there, so that does make sense. Delaware goes into the safe Democrat column. Next up we have Maryland. In 2016, it went for 25 for Clinton, and in 2020 it went by well over 30 points. So that's definitely going to hold up. DC, the swamp, we don't even have to talk about that. It's all Biden votes, basically. We'll go for Illinois next. Illinois is a state that is mainly well known for its city of Chicago, and that is mainly where the votes come from. So naturally, it is mainly Democratic. 15 for Clinton in 2016, and plus 17 for 2020. So that will be in the safe Democrat column. Next state we'll go for is Virginia. In 2016, Clinton won it by 5, and then in 2020, Biden won it by 10. So that's definitely going to hold up. I think it might be a little bit more to the right, because the people in Virginia elected a Republican governor and Republican representatives and the like, etc., etc. So that will still be in the Democrat column. Next state we'll go for is Minnesota. In 2016, Clinton won it by around 1.5, and in 2020, Biden won it by around 7. And one thing to realize about this state is that it is not usually a swing state. It's usually a strong Democratic state as part of this Rust Belt, consisting of Michigan, Wisconsin, PA, and Michigan. So I think it will still be in the Democrat column, although the margin will be closer to what it was in 2016. I'm predicting like a +3 for Biden or so. Another district that will go for Democrats is this 2nd district in Nebraska. This is a city district, so naturally it goes to the Democrat column as far as my prediction goes. And next we'll go with the states that are definitely going to be Republican, and then we'll finish off with the swing states and the toss-ups. First of all, Montana, barely even have to talk about this one. 20 points for Trump in 2016, and then in 2020, just knockout victory there as well. And then in Idaho, same thing, 63 to 33 in 2020, and 59 to 27 in 2016. North Dakota, 2016 went for Trump by a very, very large margin. And same in 2020, so that will be solid Republican as well. South Dakota went for Trump by around 30 in 2016, and by around 28 or so in 2020. We'll go for Wyoming next. Wyoming went for Trump by a very large margin. Trump won 70% of the vote there. That is a massive margin for a presidential election. And he also won 70% almost in 2020. Next is Utah. Trump won this in 2016 by around 20 points, although there was another party's candidate there that did influence some of the vote. Trump won it by 20 points in 2020, so that will hold up for sure into this year. Next we have Kansas. another Midwestern slash Bible Belt slash strong Republican conservative state. 20-point margin in 2016, and then a 16 or so percent margin in 2020. Next, we have Oklahoma. Will go to the Republican column by a lot. We can see in 2016, Trump won 65% of the vote there, and in 2020, Trump won 65 as well. So nothing much has changed there. Now, Iowa, this has been regarded as a swing state for many years, and a battleground state because it went for Obama back in 08 and 12. So even though it went for Obama then, it's strongly Republican now. Trump won it by 9 in 2016, and then won it by around the same margin in 2020. So that will definitely hold up. Missouri, another strong Republican state, won it by 20 in 2016, and Trump won it by a slightly less margin, and Trump won it by a slightly smaller margin in 2020. Indiana is next. Likewise with Missouri and many other states, there's a 20-point margin here for Trump. Although it did get smaller in 2020, I expect most of these margins to be back much more in favor of Trump this year. Kentucky, another strong Republican state, even though they elected a Democrat governor. It went for Trump by 30 in 2016 and 26 in 2020, so that'll hold up. West Virginia, one of the most Republican states in the country, 68 to 26 for Trump in 2016, and then 68 to 29 in 2020. Ohio, this has been another state that has been highly regarded as a swing state and a battleground state, as well as a must-win state to get into the presidency. You can see in 2016 that Trump won it by around 9, and then in 2020, Trump won Ohio by around 8. So I do expect this margin to be around the 9 to 10 margin for Trump this year. North Carolina is next. Went for Trump by 4 in 2016. Then in 2020, it went for Trump by around 1.3. I do expect the margin here to be around the 4% mark, roughly. But this is all circumstantial so far based on the polls, so we'll just wait and see. Tennessee, another strong Republican state, 61 to 34 for Trump in 2016, and 60 to 37 for Trump likewise in 2020. So that will be safely in the Republican column. Arizona, Arkansas, another strong Republican state, 60 to 33, and 62 to 34 for Trump in 16 and 20 respectively. So Arkansas will be strongly in the Republican column as well. South Carolina went for Trump by around 15 in 2016, and then in 2020 it went for Trump by around 12. That margin will be back closer to what it was in 2016, but Trump will win it nevertheless. Louisiana went for Trump in 2016 by 20 points, and a similar margin in 2020. So that will be another strong Republican state. Mississippi, another deep South Bible Belt state, went for plus 20 for Trump in 2016, then plus 17, plus 16 for Trump in 2020. So another safe red state there. Alabama, likewise with Mississippi, another strong deep South Republican state. 62 to 34 for Trump in 2016, and then 62 to 36 for Trump in 2020. So that will be in the Republican column. Alaska, now the margins have gotten smaller in Alaska over the years, but it will go to Trump in the end. So 52 to 37 in 2016, and then 52 to 42, so exactly a 10-point margin in 2020. This margin will probably be around 11 to 12 this year, somewhere in between 9 to 12. So just keep that in mind, but it will be strong Republican. Texas is next. Texas went for Trump by around 9 in 2016, and Trump as well by about 8% in 2020. Now, an interesting thing to look at for Texas is these trends. We can see that all here along the border, it's getting a lot more red. Like Maverick County, for example, voted over 40 points more Republican than in 2016. And this was in 2020 when Trump was not very popular at all, given that he was an incumbent and a lot of people just did not like how he ran the country. We can see that 30, 40, 50% of people, and even more in some cases, you can see Starr County, 55% more Republican. So these trends only go to show you that Biden's job of handling the border is not very popular with Texans and Arizona and even SoCal. The next state we'll look at is Florida. In 2016, Florida was won by Trump by around 1 to 2%. And then it was won by Trump again in 2020 by around 4%. This margin will definitely hold up as Florida is just getting more Republican all the time, especially as retirees go down there. I think it just gets more Republican over the years. And now we have these 6 states that basically decide the election. You can see in 2016 that Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona were all flip states for Biden and were necessary to win. And in 2016, Trump won those and had to get those to win the White House. So these 6 states are going to decide the White House. We'll start with the ones we're most sure of so far, to the more toss-up states. First, we'll start off Georgia. Now, in 2016, Georgia was won by Trump by around 6%. And in 2020, it was won by Biden by around 0.2. So not a large margin there. This will be back to what it was in 2016, most likely. We can look at the polls here for Georgia for the upcoming election. We can see that Trump is very popular in this state. And even with this margin of error, it is well within the Trump column. So the margin will be closer to what it was in 2016. The next state we'll go to is Nevada. Now, Nevada went blue both years. In 2016, Clinton won it by 2.5. And in 2020, it was the same margin. But we can see here in the polls, once I pull them up, that Trump is leading in all of these polls. All of these recent polls are dominated by Donald Trump, with even an 8% margin. So even with these margins of error, it will be a Trump victory, probably. Now, keep in mind, these estimations are not always accurate, but it is fun to see how accurate they are compared to how the actual election plays out. So the next one we'll go to is Arizona. I've put this in the red column. In 2016, Trump won it by around 4%. In 2020, Biden flipped it and won it by 0.3. Given Biden's unpopularity and the fact that Arizona is on the border, it will flip back to Trump, according to my estimations. As you can see in the polls, Trump leads Arizona by 4.5, which is quite the large margin. So this does go into the Republican column for now. Next, we'll go Wisconsin. In 2016, Trump won Wisconsin by 1% and lost it in 2020 by 0.6. I do think this will flip back to the Republican column, just again because of Biden's unpopularity, and also the polls are showing a substantial Trump lead there, although the polls are not in this list for some reason, but the polls do show around +2 to +3 for Trump. So we'll just wait and see as we get into the election year. All this could change a lot, so keep this in mind. Michigan is next. In 2016, Trump won it by 0.3. It was one of the states that helped to launch him into the White House. I know the entire mainstream media was surprised that he did this, because this Rust Belt has historically been solidly blue. It was the blue wall that Trump tore down to build a new wall, so to speak. Anyway, Michigan was won by Trump in 2016 by 0.3, and then he lost it by 2 in 2020. You can see here the polls show a substantial Trump lead. A small Trump lead. 2.5 is not very much when it comes to polling and margins of error, but I do expect it to be a Trump victory here. The next state we'll go to is Pennsylvania, another state that helped launch Trump into the White House in 2016. He won it by 1.2 then, and then lost it by 1.2 in 2020. This is more of a toss-up state and debated state than the other one, but I do expect in the end that it will come to Trump by around the same margin that it did in 2016. but to be honest, more than likely it'll be around 0.4, 0.5. Like, it's just hard to tell this far out. So my current estimation for the 2024 U.S. presidential election is a Trump victory, with 312 electoral votes to 226 electoral votes. I will be making monthly videos just to kind of recap on the changes in polling and the changes in campaigning to kind of change my flow of how I go about my prediction. But as a rough prediction, here it is. This is my current March 1st prediction for the U.S. presidential election. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please subscribe and smash the like button as well. This is my first real video on YouTube, so I would appreciate if you could subscribe. Means a lot to me. So thanks for watching. Hope you all have a nice day. And please come back to my channel in the future for similar election time videos.